Blueprints for an Afternoon. Kelly Tan, Ashley Hai, Yeyoon Avis An. 1. A chicken's head, a longevity peach, a slab of leopard butter, a Sylvanian koala. She sat at her makeshift stall and sewed each colored bead to a piece of cloth. How they glimmered like precious gemstones in the brilliance of the afternoon, from jewels to butter. How silly, she smiled at the thought. Her eyes concentrated on each bead, as though all the world depended on it. She had noted down the specifications for each design, noted down the steps in a terse, technical language to sew a chicken's head, a longevity peach, a slab of leopard butter. Those papers lay on her desk under the weight of her forearm. A crowd of children, meanwhile, had formed around her, some pointing out the chicken, others demanding a koala. All the world depended on the artist's eye and the craftsman's fingers. Meanwhile, she beaded the seconds into an hour the shape of a longevity peach, out of which the kids would fight to take a bite. Yes, these would be enough. She smiled at the thought. 2. In time, she would come to forget what any of this had meant. But now she sat on the thick root of a tree and toyed with her wires. Whoever said a circuit had to be complete? Sometimes you imagined a certain bend, a certain overlap or parallel track, and that was it. From VCC to white, from yellow to 5+, she flirted with sporadic connections and spontaneous ideas. It is somewhat like passing a spark with a stranger and holding on to it for a while. At that instant, she let a thought morph into sketches, diagrams, and schemas, prototypes for an eventuality, all the while accompanied by accidental voice-over, from 5+ to yellow, white to VCC, from yellow to white, VCC to 5+, and so on, shorthand for something or another. The right person would understand. She bent those thin, colored strands to her will and fixed them in their place, a snapshot of focus and fancy. The afternoon sky is a drawing board. Can't you see that these could work? These blueprints for what could be? 3. What might have been and what has been point to one end, which is always present. She is reading Eliot on a bench one quiet afternoon. The trees change their leaves and the fountain continues its gush and fall. Peace is like a fountain, she says. She could listen to it for days. Somehow, the bench feels more like home today than it did yesterday. The shadows of the leaves more familiar, more embracing. It is but a spot in an unassuming corner of the park, where she has her unassuming thoughts that fall so quietly into place like leaves onto water. Peace is suspension, art about art too funnels, a moment's revelation falling into her lap like a stray petal. Never mind if only she saw things this way. Sometimes she wished she could fold herself a paper box to live in, a shelter, a recess, a niche amidst the world, a door, a window, the wind and light free to fill the room to just the right amount. What else did you need? Outside, she rests beside the ducks and the pigeons, the sparrows and the robins. She continues listening to the fountain and watching the water draw a clear arc across the ground. There is no place yet, but space. This is new. This is happening. Light falls patiently all the while. 4. Patterns for beadwork. Hieroglyphic notation. The art of blueprints.